Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast, back with another episode of the Brokers Roundtable, diving into a topic that I think the three of us, Chad, Jesse, and myself, Adam may or may not be able to join us. If he does, then we'll bring him in. But I believe the four of us would definitely find this as a very near and dear aspect of our business, prospecting for new business. Because if you can't prospect for new business, whether you're a commercial real estate broker, an investor, developer, doesn't matter, you're not going to be very successful. So we're going to be diving into identifying potential clients, how to conduct outreach and communicate with them. If we got time, we'll dive into leveraging technology and data and overcoming any challenges when it comes to prospecting. Chad, I'm gonna lob it over to you, man. What strategies do you find most effective for identifying potential clients in the industrial sector?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of ways to do it, but what I've found to be the most effective is the simplest, and that's just start doing it. So that sounds obvious, but a good example is if you have a building that you're looking to sell or lease, well, go to every business in the area and either drop off a brochure or call them. Ideally, do both. And I've sold so many properties over the years where it was a neighboring business that bought it or leased it or moved. I just did an $8 million sale, and it was the neighboring company that bought the building. And it's because we reached out to them. So I think it's people have a tendency to overcomplicate who they're going to call. And you can get all sorts of lists and you can get all sorts of different solutions and systems and software and really make it elaborate, when in reality just start calling existing businesses and start calling property owners and keep it as simple as your goal is to just talk to qualified people. And if it's already an existing business, that's better chance than just trying to call somebody at random and you already know that they're in business. So I think it's the old school way of cold calling and door knocking is still the most effective, and I haven't found anything that's even close.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I did when I was first getting started. It was a lot of door knocking and just sitting in the office making calls. I mean, Chad, how would you, what's your strategy? I mean, let's dive into that a little bit more. Do you say, hey, this week I'm working on flex tenants, so I'm going to call every HVAC technician I can get my hands on, and then I'm going to create a list to organize that so that next time I need that, we'll have it? What's kind of your approach in that respect?
I'm predominantly a listing broker, so I've got a lot of listings. I've got a partner, and we've got two junior associates. And between the four of us, we have about 80 listings. So we've got a lot of listings. So my strategy is pretty simple. What listing do I need to target to get eyeballs on it? And just as I said, go out and make sure that every business in the area knows about it. And you can be more selective. Like if it's a 30,000 square foot building, you might want to specifically target 30,000 square foot tenants. But quite often we'll go and start dropping off brochures or calling people, and they'll have a different need altogether, which turns into a lead for another property. So I don't necessarily think that you need to be only targeting one type of tenant. I think if you have a system, then I think that's great. Then work whatever is preferable for you. But for myself personally, just taking a approach about one particular building and trying to reach everybody in it turns over a lot of rocks.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, that's a very similar approach for office space. Jesse, I mean, what when it comes to office, what industries, what business types are usually the best types of clients for you to be prospecting for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways you can break it down in terms of the actual sector itself. So like we have guys and gals in our industry that focus on specific sectors just to make, life easier and show that you have a niche in the market. So that could be technology, it could be creatives, it could be more traditional like fire, financial services, insurance, real estate, and maybe lawyers. In terms of the actual tenants that we look for with any of those categories, on the office side, I mean, the best thing you can have is one that actually has had or has an office, right? So, startups are great. There was a big flurry of startups over the last few years in major markets where, companies were getting their first office space in a downtown area, and that prospecting might have been a little bit different. And that's where we'd be speaking with universities, maybe meetups for that type of user. But for us, it's so much easier when you have somebody that has been through the experience before, that understands at least the high level what the process is like when you're going to actually hit the street and hit the pavement and be looking for space, going through the survey process, and eventually hopefully the offer and lease process. So for us, in terms of actually narrowing that down in your area, there's a couple different methods, and we could get into that with some of the other questions. But I think you go wide and then you narrow your focus. So that could be sector specific, like I said, and then narrow it down in terms of the specific businesses you want to reach out to.
Yeah, when you're first getting started, you take pretty much anything that comes your way.
That's right.
My first tenant rep assignment was a staffing company. 1,200 feet, I think. But like, man, that was a great little first assignment.
Well, it's funny. Like everybody remembers their first, the first big deal or the first deal they did, and those are not always the same thing. Oftentimes they're not. But I remember one of like the most, one of the earliest deals I did was a music studio that just happened to have office space. It was, and I probably have only done 2 or 3 of those in my career at commercial real estate, 9-10 years, and that just happened to be one of the first ones. So a very unique deal. If anybody knows anything about the build out that goes into those type of office / spaces.
We know a couple of things about that down here in Nashville.
yeah, probably that makes sense.
Those are always wild, man. Every time I would walk into those, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is where the magic happens. It's so cool.
This is it.
Chad, prospecting for new listings. Let's talk about that, because it's one thing when you have a listing to go out and shop, right? You've got the excuse to go get in front of somebody. What's y'all's process to get to 80 listings? Like, that's amazing.
Well, that was over a long period of time. I'm coming up on 20 years in the business, so a lot of those listings have come grinding it out over years. But what I say to people, and I even say this to people in my office, is a real quick solution that everybody can be doing is make a list of 10 property owners that could be potential listings, and you can find them. People trying to do it on their own, could be like a for sale by owner or for lease by owner, can be somebody that maybe the listing just expired, maybe there's a property that's been on the market for a long time and hasn't moved. Just make a list of 10 property owners, and every single day make an effort to connect with one of them, and make it a commitment that over time you're connecting with all of them once every couple weeks. And the message can be pretty simple. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and let you know that I'm active in the area. I know you're trying to do this yourself, or if something happened with the other agent. Just try an icebreaker to get the conversation going, and just say, if I can be a resource for you, I'd love to help you with anything that I can. If you have a question about the process, if you're trying to do it yourself, use me as a resource. The only thing that I'd ask is if you decide to list it, that I'd just be in consideration to win your business. So a very non-aggressive, non-pushy sales tactic where you're just saying, listen, I'll help you if I can. If you want to just ask a question about the market, or if you think that an offer came in and it might be a bit low, well, just use me as a resource. And again, the only thing that I ask is that if you do decide to list it, I'd just like to be your guy. And keep 10 people on that list at all times. So at any given point, you have 10 people that you're prospecting to win their business, and you're just following up. And maybe one time you're following up and saying, this property across the street from you just sold, thought you'd be curious about the data on it. So you're just always trying to add something of value to that conversation. And maybe you do a bunch of free work. I've done this system myself. And you do a lot of free work for people because they take advantage of free labor. But it also does turn out to be very prosperous with the people that come to trust you and look at you as an advisor or somebody that's invested in their success. And I've had long-term relationships with guys that I've done by just taking this non-aggressive sales approach, but just trying to legitimately be helpful and add value. So that's the one thing that's worked very well for me. I've told so many people about it, and most people don't do it because it is work and you're giving away free labor. It's a tough trade-off, but if somebody does do it, and I know people that have taken the advice and have done it, that you can pick up listings relatively quickly, and with people that have come to know and trust you. So that's one thing that's worked very well for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that conversation with my brokers actually last week. We had that conversation again, where we're working on a deal. It's a smaller lease assignment, or lease. Yeah, I mean, it's an assignment. They're out there trying to find a small, like 1,000 square foot tenant for this building. Well, it's not really worth their time, right? And it's easy to get frustrated on it. And I'm like, guys, it's a 1,000 square foot tenant. But if this guy decides to sell, he's got all these contiguous parcels right here. It's a $10 million plus, parcel sale for you. It's for the relationship. You guys are investing in the relationship to get that listing later. And I love what you said too, Chad, about making it very like non-aggressive on being their guy. I would always say, I know you got a guy. You've got your go-to. I just want to be your backup, right? If that guy ever gets out of the business, he ever decides he doesn't like this type of listing anymore, whatever it is, just give me a call. I'll be here. And then you just pester them and you show them like, oh man, this guy's going to follow up with me every 2 weeks. Like imagine what, and then you could actually use that to your advantage as a broker. Like, yeah, if I follow up with you every 2 weeks, imagine what I do to prospects that show interest in your properties, right? People
And there
love that
will
stuff.
come a time, when that owner gets frustrated with his guy. It just happens to everybody. The guy takes a 2-week holiday and doesn't return his calls, and the owner's just frustrated because he's stressed out about a vacancy and he's pissed off. And you just happen to call at that time when the other broker's on holidays and he remembers you. I completely agree. You don't need to be aggressive in this business to win business. You just need to be persistent and have some sort of plan. But it doesn't even need to be a sophisticated plan. It's just have a plan and execute it.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, I know you've been hanging out with the cool kids, and so I think this is pretty appropriate. How do you prioritize which retail businesses that you're going to work with, right? Like which ones to go after? How do you figure out, like, what's the criteria that you use to qualify these guys? Because there's probably a bunch of shiny objects with some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah, the basic is I have signs all over town, right? And it's a blessing and a curse because a lot of these signs have my cell phone number on it, which is not something I would probably do if I was in the day. But I get a lot of calls from people like every hookah bar, hemp emporium, all that shit gets put to me really quickly. The immediate kind of non-starter qualifiers, I always ask, is this a startup? Is this can you send me your website or your existing businesses? That immediately drops it down multiple rungs. And then it's, please send me your business plan and basic financials. I don't need your social. I don't need anything like that, but just explain to me how this thing is going to get capitalized. So that those are the immediate, just like, can you sign your name to the SATs? I don't know if they have SATs in Canada. Y'all might call it something else, but can you kind of get the right pencil when you're taking the test, right? So those are instant, like, will not get a return phone call kind of guardrails. And then after that, you can just learn a lot by just asking key questions to these guys. And on the other side, when you're looking for retail prospects, a lot of it is just like a little bit of detective work, right? Because if the people that I'm looking for are typically in the asset management world, and they're not just like sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. Like, these guys have the most stressful lives on planet Earth, and trying to get to the right asset management level just to understand like who can I pitch, right? Like who, to your point about pinging these people every 2 weeks, that's great, but a lot of people are trying to sound like they're the guy, but they're not the guy. So on both the tenant rep and the landlord rep, there's a little bit of discovery that goes into just finding out who's worth talking to, and some of it is just like I said, being a little bit of a detective.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly something to be said for the sniper approach compared to the shotgun. A lot of these newer brokers are like, hey, where can I get a list of 4,000 people that I could just sit down and call? And it's like, that's cool. You could do that if you really want to be on the phone all day, but why not pick, one business that you go all in on, go check out their Instagram page, go check out their website, go check out their LinkedIn, find out who their CFO is, the CEO, the, CT, whatever it is, right? Whoever is going to be the decision makers. Read some news articles on them and then call. You're going to be so educated on who they are and their business. They'll be impressed by that. It's slow. It feels slower, but it's honestly, I feel like I don't have the data to back this up. I feel like it's more effective. Adam, you said something, and hopefully this piece of advice will save you a lot of heartache. I took this feather out of Residential Investors Caps. It's a company called PatLive. PatLive. It is a phone answering service. And so like I don't have somebody that's at my office answering phone calls full time. I don't have anybody to do that. It's all outsourced to this group. They answer phone calls 24/7. This is not an advertisement. I just have been using these guys for over 6 years. They're amazing. They answer it and they're like, hey, this is Adam with the Cobble Group. Are you looking to buy, sell, or lease commercial real estate? And then they've got scripts based on what the person says to ask all of the certain questions. And then they immediately send me an email. And so you could have that go to a leads inbox that somebody's then monitoring, so that you can automatically filter out the bullshit of the vape shops and the tire shops and whatever else you don't want to bother with. So, and
it could be really fun for me to write a vape shop script.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could.
You want to open up a vape shop? Actually, we would like for you to go ahead and rethink all of your life decisions. This is coming directly from Adam Williams. That'd be awesome. Jesse, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just saying that's great advice. I wrote it down.
Actually, I got a quick question on that, Ty. What happens? So I'm just thinking from Adam's perspective. We do quite a bit of signage, physical signage as well. So in a case like that, if you end up, say, pulling the ad or not working with that group anymore, do you get those calls forwarded to your cell or to your number for a certain amount of time?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. So the number that I've got is like a Google number. So it's my phone number.
Okay.
And so it's forwarded to them. And I forgot, dude, it's been 6 years, so I forgot how we set it up.
Yeah.
But it automatically goes to them. So you can keep that number if you want, or, people change phone numbers all the time, right?
For sure.
It's not like a tenant's going to save your office number from 3 years ago and just call you back on it. They're going to go back past the sign again. So, honestly, they've only improved throughout the years. That's not to say that, they'll not be great one day, but
yeah,
I've been impressed.
No, I like it. That's cool.
Yeah. Hey, you guys should call my office line and pretend to be a tenant and go through that experience and just see what it's like. I have to pay for that, but that's fine. It's not expensive. It's like less than $200 or $300 a month depending on your call volume.
Nice.
So yeah, plug for them. But yeah, Jesse, let's talk about outreach and communication. Crafting a killer pitch, being able to properly tell the story about who you are and how you serve clients, especially quickly, like getting an elevator pitch, is important. So like how do you do that in order to garner a prospect's attention, kind of in the office sector?
Yeah. So for us, I think you nailed it on. There's basically two buckets of approaches, right? You can go very broad, like you said, a shotgun approach, and then a sniper approach. Now, in the context of cold calls or cold emails, a person told me quite some time ago, basically asked the question, what is the purpose of the cold call? Is it to sell them on everything that you do right on that call? It's oftentimes not. It's, for me at least, most of the the goal of the cold call or the goal of the cold email is to actually set up a proper a meeting. So for us, what we're trying to do is in a short amount of time, explain what the potential problem is and how we can solve that. So oftentimes, I'll tell you right now, the market right now, for everybody talking negatively with the market, 5-6 years ago, it was harder to cold call in a 2%, 3% vacant market because you really didn't have a lot of value to add. You're like, hey, everything's going great. Prices are really high. We can probably get you a place that's comparable or likely more expensive. So, now we can call and say it's a tenant's market. I'm not sure if you're taking advantage of the fact we've helped other tenants lower their costs with their landlords. If this is something that, you think could benefit you, we're happy to have a conversation about it and outline how we've helped other people. And those type of, it's a little off the cuff, but those type of emails where we can, or calls where you can get them to agree to a 15-minute call. One thing that I have found that I think we talked about here before, my partner and I, we always use the term frictionless. And one of the biggest things that we did, it sounds so simple now, but 3-4 years ago, Calendly was not used as much as it's used today. So a lot of times at the end of our cold emails where we would do campaigns, we'd say, hey, listen, to book a 15-minute conversation, you can click this link. Now, 3-4 years ago, it was something that we're like, holy shit. We started to realize a lot of people don't even want to respond to emails, even if they know they have a demand for the product you're selling. And I've been guilty of this too, where you get an email, you're like, okay, yeah, I do need that. Oh, there's a link here. I'll just book that link. And now it's in my calendar and I don't have to worry about it. So just little things like that, where for us, like I said, going back to what is the purpose of the call. You don't need to, I hear a lot of people, you don't need to list out every single service that you have and then hope that something sticks.
Yeah, I love that. I think the Calendly thing is brilliant. I've done that as well. The language I always use is, hey, feel free to, let me know a couple of times it work for you, or if easier, click this link here to book. Because I've had salespeople reach out to me before, say, hey, book a call with me here. And I'm like, F you, man. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. There is one thing in the podcasting world. I'm sure you guys have all experienced this. It's extremely frustrating and a little insulting to the person you're outreaching to. That we have one question that you have to answer that basically allows you to book one roadblock, and it's just what do you hope to accomplish on this call? And the only reason we have it is because, like Adam said, you get some crazy people that once they're like, we're looking for XYZ. That's not what we do. But when you have people that have like 16 things you have to answer before you can book a meeting with them, it's just like, dude, like make it easier than that.
Yeah. I mean, you want to create a bit of a road bump so that you just eliminate the total waste of your time calls, but you don't want it to be so great that a good prospect that would be jumping on a call with you otherwise is going to decide not to do it. And I love what you said. I mean, provide value, right? Like think about, like put yourself in the prospect's shoes. Why should they care about your email, right? Like I always think back to it's copywriting, right? And I know that that's something that a lot of commercial real estate brokers don't ever think about. I know the four of us have because we're in that world. But it's like, hey, by the way, Joe, we worked on a property down the street. We got really creative and we were able to close their vacancy by 20% in 3 months. Would love to hop on a call and share with you what we did so that we can work on, see if we can work together. I mean, dude, if I'm a property owner and I get an email like that, I'm like, all right, let's see what the hell they did. Maybe they figured something out that'd be great for me too, because they did it around the corner.
Just another side little I'm not sure if we talked about this, but again, this market has so much opportunity. We've had stuff where, we don't want to negatively talk about landlords, especially if we've worked with them in the past. But if you are calling on tenants where there has been market news about their landlord, where, maybe their stock got downgraded, maybe there's some issues in the portfolio. A lot of tenants, I've realized, even as the most sophisticated companies in the world, are still full of normal people, like humans that like gossip and like the scuttlebutt. So like if you're calling and saying, now's the time, even if that wouldn't move the needle for the landlords, it's something where it just gets a conversation started with the tenants, if that's your target.
Dude, I love that so much. Hey, by the way, did you hear that your landlord's stock grade got downgraded? Like that's hilarious. What an awesome call. No, I didn't. Should I be worried? Yeah, you really should be. We got to move you.
Tyler, like stalking his competitors and trying to get fired. You trading stock tips, man. I need to watch my back.
Yeah. Well, it's like, hey,
that's
Google
amazing.
your landlord. You didn't see the news. Maybe now's the time to have a conversation about an early
He said
renewal.
it was wrong place, wrong time, and the charges have been dropped. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not a judge.
Yeah, hey man, I don't get to make that call. Oh my gosh, that's great. We need to get together in person sometime. I feel like we would have some hilarious conversations. Adam, we've talked about cold calling, cold emailing, door knocking, Instagram, social media. What have you found to be the most successful methods of outreach?
A couple things. Honestly, in my world, there's the stuff that I do isn't very commoditized. So a lot of good outreach that I've had has been just getting other deals done and being able to show the market deals that are getting done. Right. And I know that sounds silly because it's not like I'm sending out this postcard to people, but you're getting in the business journal, getting in the paper, having the influencers that are dialed into the retail market, kind of helping me tell a story. And then obviously every time we get a deal done or one of our landlords, has a big win, we're out there posting that. It's a lot less talking about me and like, look what Adam did, look what James or Kate or some of the people on our team did. And it's a lot more like, look at these clients that we helped. Look at this big win that one of our client had. So when people see that, they just think of you as being in the deal flow, and especially if something's like not listed or something is closed and you've already done another deal, people just really, really like that. So I try to always just broadcast that in a humble brag kind of way, right? It's not like I'm showing the spotlight. It's just like, hey, look at all these awesome people that we're so lucky to work with. Look at all the deals they're doing. And I mean, that's where a tremendous amount of my business comes from. It's just people reaching out the phone and be like, hey, I saw you were working with Jim. I love that spot. I had lunch. That was my lunch today. Right. Like, how can I get the next spot that you were going to show Jim? So it's not super scientific, but I've been doing it for a while, and that's the one thing that keeps people coming back. Because I mean, Tyler, you hang out with a lot of restaurant and retail type people. Like, they see somebody else get a hot corner that they didn't know was available, or they got a hell of a deal, or they got more TI than somebody else. Man, nothing gets a retail restaurant guy's attention more than that.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to tell the story, right? Like, go brag about it in a storytelling kind of way. I mean, like Adam just said, you get one deal done, cool. Make sure that everybody thinks that you've done 20 because you've talked about it so much and all the successes and how great it was for your clients, and check out their build out and it just gives you more points of contact. Like today I was at one of my investments, a boutique hotel that we're doing, and we filmed like 3 or 4 shorts while I was on the property, just so that we have more content going out about that. I mean, it really is game changing. Guys, we're out of time. One thing that I wanted to say, kind of hitting on what Adam said, as a commercial real estate broker, you are not Anakin Skywalker. You are not Luke Skywalker. You are Yoda. Make your client the hero, and you will look good. Everything will work out well for you. Guys, join us in the next one for part 2 of Prospecting for New Business. We're going to be diving into leveraging technology and overcoming challenges and objections. It's going to be a good one. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me. I'll see you here in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more.